Hey there, welcome back to By His Grace Marriage Ministry Podcast. My name's Amanda. Shalom to all of you, and happy and blessed Sukkot to those of you that keep Yah's feast days or His appointed times. This is technically the last feast day of this year, and it is a 8-day celebration. And for us, it's the first day of Sukkot, which means it's also a Shabbat or a Sabbath. So Shabbat Shalom to those of you that keep the feast days. I pray that you have a blessed and wonderful time with your loved ones, and of course, more importantly, with Yah. All right, so I just have a quick word to share with all of you, and then I will be coming back after Sukkot, which will be next week after Wednesday. I will be coming back to begin the mini-series Boundaries, how to place boundaries when you are dealing with or in a unhealthy relationship, whether that's with a family member, a friend, maybe within your marriage, things like that. How to place boundaries when you're dealing with different types of abuse or different forms of abuse. Just things like that. So that first episode for that series will be next week, Yah willing, after Sukkot. And the first episode is going to be kind of laying the foundation, and I think it would be really good to talk about different types and forms of abuses. And I'm going to go into specifics with something that I feel that a lot of people are dealing a lot with. Again, whether it's within their family, with family members, their marriage, their children, the workplace. I mean, it's all around us, unfortunately. And surprisingly, I learned recently that the Bible actually talks a lot about narcissism, which is going to be one of the biggest things that I'm really going to hone in on in terms of different types of abuse, because narcissism falls under that umbrella of mental, emotional abuse, or even psychological abuse, if you will. So stay tuned for that. That will be the first episode for that mini-series, Boundaries. I really think that this series is much needed for a lot of people who are dealing with different types of toxicity, abuse, and just a lot of, unfortunately, just really awful things that are taking place all around us in all different types of relationships. So it doesn't just apply to marriage, it applies to a lot of different relationships in our lives. So stay tuned for that, and I pray that it will be a blessing and will help those who need to hear it and have a better understanding. I know for me, it helped me a lot. And the book that I will be sharing from as well is what really helped. It is scripture-based, so it will be it'll have to do with Yah's word as well. It's not just going to be just information and research and things like that. So stay tuned for that. So today's episode, I just want to share a quick word with you all. This is a special word, and I pray that it's a word of encouragement and gives hope for those of you who have experienced toxicity within a relationship or even a marriage that you had previously in your life, if it was toxic or just it was counterfeit or just bad or all of the above. This word is for you. So if you were in a bad, toxic, or counterfeit relationship, if that is what hurt or broke you, then a healthy Yah-ordained marriage, so the marriage that Yah has for you, that He's calling you into, and will call you into, will be the relationship that heals you. Okay? So yes, first and foremost, Yahuwah is the one that has the ability and the power to deliver us and heal us from these situations. But the message that I want to share today, and that what He wants all of you to know, is that if you experienced a toxic or counterfeit relationship or marriage in your past, if that is what hurt or broke you, then your Yah-ordained marriage, your healthy marriage, will be what heals you alongside with Yah. So the reason why this is important to share is because, and I've heard this a lot, within the body and outside the body. So secular within our society, within our culture, and also within the body amongst believers, where a lot of people believe that once they've had a bad relationship, once they have experienced a toxic relationship or marriage, or a counterfeit relationship in marriage, which really both are the same, because counterfeit situations, counterfeit relationships, and marriages will often produce toxicity to some degree or another. So if you are somebody that has experienced this, often people come out of those relationships, if they even come out of them. Some people stay stuck and bound in these relationships. When you come out of it, you come out of it broken, you come out of it hurt, and you come out of it with zero trust, and you are so discouraged that you say, I will never again have a relationship, or I'll never again marry. Or people will tell you, hey, if I were you, I wouldn't even trust anybody else. I wouldn't even bother going into a relationship or getting married again. And this is not good, okay? Because here's the thing. Oftentimes, for a lot of us within the body, for those of us that are believers, oftentimes when we were in a toxic relationship or a counterfeit relationship, it probably took place before we knew, or before we were strong in our relationship with the Father, number one. And so we didn't really have a correct or a good understanding of who He is and what He has for us, if in fact He's calling us to marriage and family. A lot of times we go by the world standards. A lot of times we chose out of our flesh, or somebody, a friend or family member, of course they probably meant well, hooked you up or something like that, or again your flesh kind of took over, or the enemy, Satan, used that as a trap to ensnare you into this counterfeit relationship that then turns toxic, so that you not only will fall away from Yah's plans for your life, but so that then you come out of that relationship not ever again wanting to have a healthy relationship, or thinking that you never can obtain a healthy relationship in marriage. And I'm here to tell you that if it's Yah's will for your life to step into a marriage that He has for you, it will be a healthy marriage. It will be a healthy relationship, and you can heal from the broken relationship or counterfeit relationship that you came out of. You can heal from the toxicity that you experienced. It takes time, and it's by Yah's hand that we receive this healing. Now, I have said in past episodes that there are certain things that every individual, every spouse has to work on and heal certain things before stepping into their marriage. And then there are some things that when you step into your marriage, you and your spouse will help each other to heal. And it can be in many different ways. It can just be how you'll be with one another, the love that you'll be able to give and receive from one another. It could even be through intimacy. It could be through acts. It could be a lot of different things. But there are certain things that I will encourage for people to heal first from before stepping in your marriage. Because often if we walk into our marriages with certain wounds still open and not healed, it can really bring in a lot of issues into our marriage, and it can really have a negative impact on our marriage. But the thing is that Yahuwah has, He wants you to be in a healthy marriage. He wants you to be in a healthy relationship. He wants you to experience what He has created within marriage, and so many people sadly get discouraged about relationships and marriages because of what they experienced prior. That was outside of Yah's will. It was through their own will. It was through their flesh, or the enemy, trapped them. So many people get discouraged that they never again want anything to do with that. And what I want to do today is I want to encourage people, for those of you that have had that experience and you're just barely coming out of it, or you feel that you'll never again be able to ever experience a healthy relationship or healthy love, or I'm here to tell you today that that's not true. It's a lie from the enemy. That's what he wants you to believe. Yah always has better for us. He always has good for us. He wants us to experience these things. And remember, marriages from Him have purpose, but also within that, marriage is meant to be a special covenant, a special bond, a special relationship that has unconditional love between both spouses. Now, I'm not saying that your relationship or your marriage will be without problems. You will have problems. You may have disagreements. In fact, not that you probably will have disagreements, and there will be tough seasons in your marriage. However, the difference is that you love each other to the point that it's unconditional. You face them together. And if one spouse makes a mistake, the other spouse is forgiving and understanding and has grace with them. And this is what a healthy marriage or relationship looks like. Yah needs to be at the center. He needs to be the foundation, and he needs to be the covering. So do not let what's happened in your past, do not let the toxic and counterfeit relationship or marriage that you experienced in your past affect that or rob or steal from you the marriage that Yah does have for you. A lot of people have also asked me, is my past mistake being in a counterfeit relationship, does that mean that Yah won't bring me into marriage? No, he will bring you into it. If you have repented and turned away, and have come out of that, or he has brought you out of it and you have humbled yourself before him, you've been repentant, he will absolutely bring you into the things that he's had planned for you since the beginning. Yes, he can change his mind with certain things, but when it comes to these things, these are things that he has planned for you. These are things that he wants you to come into. And so as long as we repent and turn away from those things that we did out of our own flesh or out of our own will or whatever that the case was, yes, we can still step into these things because there's grace and there's mercy. He has mercy on us. So it makes me sad to see when people just get so discouraged that they're like, I never want to be in a relationship again. I never want to get married again. I don't want anybody. I don't trust anybody. This is not good. This is exactly where Satan wants you. He wants you to not trust anybody. He wants you to feel like you can never have a healthy relationship. He wants you to isolate yourself. He wants you to be alone. Now of course there are people that are called to be single, but for those that are called to marriage, which is many of us, the enemy wants to deter you from that. So he will do everything that he can. Now, again, and I've said this many a times, I was just speaking with a brother recently who just went through this. And I told him I'm not surprised to hear this because the enemy, this is his big tactic concerning men and concerning these marriages that are ordained by the Father. One of the biggest ways that the enemy tries to delay these marriages from coming together and trying to destroy these men's lives is through counterfeit relationships and through sexual temptations. I see this often where men are constantly falling into sexual morality, or they're coming together with women that they have no business being with. And I see them get entrapped and ensnared into these relationships, these counterfeit relationships. Sometimes they marry the person, sometimes they have children, or a child or children with the person, and it destroys their lives. This is one of the biggest ways that Satan destroys the lives of men. Why does he target men more? As I've said before, because men are the ones that have been granted the headship. They're the start of a family. They're the ones that carry the seed. Their family and their wives are named after them, basically. When we marry, we take our husband's last names. When our babies are born, they have their daddy's last names. We see this in scripture. That is why the enemy attacks men more. Because they are basically, aside from Yah, they're the foundation of a family. So if the enemy can target and get a husband, whether he's a husband yet or not, basically he can get the whole family through the husband. Okay? So, and this is something I've talked about all throughout my podcast ministry. And again, I don't counsel a lot of brothers. I don't think I have a lot of brothers on here, but I still make sure to share this because it is so vital. And so also that sisters can understand what might be the holdup, what might be delay, why their husbands are going through what they're going through, and why we're called to stand in the gap for them and pray. Okay? As their helpers, as their rib, we're called to stand in the gap to pray for our husbands, because many of our husbands, whether you've met them yet or not, many of them are going through these attacks. And it's almost even why we have a tendency to really see more godly women than we do men right now. And that's why, because one of the biggest ways that Satan is hooking men is through counterfeit relationships and through sexual temptations. And that's why sadly men have somehow, or not somehow, but this is why men have earned that title. And I don't even want to say the term earned, but that's why men are called dogs, or, because they're sleeping around, because they're doing this and that and the next thing, and they're just, hooking up with women out of nowhere. And these are always the end results. And it's literally consuming these men, and it's destroying their lives. It's destroying their lives. And I've seen it in my own situation. I'm not going to go into too much detail out of respect, but I've seen this firsthand. I've had to stand in the gap many a times in prayer on behalf of my husband. So, if I have any brothers listening, don't let this happen to you. Don't allow the enemy to get you through a counterfeit relationship or through sexual temptation. It's not worth it. Please try not to be in your flesh. I know it's easier said than done. I know we all struggle with our flesh. All of us, whether you're male or female. But don't allow the enemy to have victory over you through that way. And so what often happens, and this happens to women too, okay? Women have experienced toxic relationships, bad relationships, counterfeit relationships, and they come out broken, and then they're afraid to love again. They're afraid to trust again. Or they think that Yah doesn't have anybody for them. Once again, if you're called to marriage, if that's a part of the plan and will that Yah has over your life, whether you're male or female, it'll happen, provided that you surrender to Yah and you are in His will for your life. If you're in your own will, it won't happen. The things of Yah will not manifest and be fulfilled in your life. So that's something we have to understand. One thing that I've noticed that I really, really dislike a lot, especially amongst Christianity. Please understand, I love all brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter what you follow, okay? But I see this trend in Christianity, okay? There's this thing that's going on where there's this name it and claim it thing, and that is so false. We do not name and claim anything, okay? It's whatever Yah has for us is what will be, okay? God, Yahuwah is not an Elohim, He is an Elohim. He's not a genie, okay? This isn't fortune telling. This isn't anything like that, okay? Another thing too, I've noticed there's a lot of prosperity gospels and things like that. But one of the biggest things surrounding relationships and marriages is that I often hear a lot of believers, a lot of Christians say, oh, I found my person. I found the right one. No, you don't find your spouse, okay? You don't go searching for your spouse. And I have said this many a times throughout my podcast. Men, your wives, your wife that Yah has ordained for you, that He has planned for you from the beginning of time, will be presented to you in His perfect timing and in His way. Women, you will be presented to your husband that Yah has chosen for you in His perfect timing, in His way. There is no searching. There is no finding. I hear so many believers, oh yeah, I found my husband. Oh yeah, I found my wife. No, you did not find them. Yah brought the two of you together, if in fact this is the person you're supposed to be with, because many believers are making these critical mistakes. They're making these critical mistakes where because they're a believer, they're a Christian, they go to church, they pray, they fit the bill, so it must be the one that I'm supposed to be with. No. In fact, oftentimes you're going to be probably surprised and not even expect who your spouse is that Yah chose for you. I know I was. You can't just pick somebody. I mean, you can if you're in your own free will. If you're in Yah's will, you cannot just pick somebody because they fit the bill. And in fact, you're not supposed to choose. Yah chooses for you. And this is something that really saddens me. That's why my very first episode to this ministry, to this podcast, was the differences between a set-apart marriage, ordained and planned by Yah, and the difference between a secular marriage, meaning that you chose it yourself, you found the person, you decided that's who you wanted to marry, or somebody hooked you both up, or whatever. You went on a dating site, you took it upon yourself to locate this person. You took it upon yourself to choose to marry this person. You didn't ask for confirmation, and you didn't pray and ask Yah if this was the person. And even believers that do pray and ask, remember that Satan is a master deceiver. So you have to have discernment as well. Please use discernment. There are so many issues surrounding this topic. And, this is the point of my ministry, is to help bring truth and shed light on how it really is and how it should be. And this is why, sadly, we see so many people stuck in counterfeit relationships or having had experienced a counterfeit and toxic relationship that they're still either stuck in, which is devastating. And because while they're in this relationship, their life is destroyed. I've seen so many men bound, and I've seen their lives destroyed. Now, there's hope, because Yahuwah can save these men and deliver them and restore them and redeem them. Absolutely. I've seen it. But it's so sad. It's so sad to see. Or the people that do come out of it, they're never the same. They don't have any trust. They're broken. They want nothing to do with falling in love again or having a relationship, because they think they can't ever have it. Because their experience tainted them, and it caused them to have that outlook that all relationships are the same, all people are the same. Here's the thing. Yes and no. Why do I say this? Because you will run into that same problem if you keep hooking up with people that aren't meant for you. But it's not the same if you are with the one that you are supposed to be with. That's the difference. And I'm not saying all people out there are bad. People are good. There are good people out there that do care and are not toxic. However, when you pursue people that aren't meant to be in your life, you will have the same outcome and the same experiences. But when you come together with the one Yah has for you, you won't experience that. Instead, you're going to experience peace. You're going to experience joy. You're going to experience unconditional love. You're going to experience happiness. You're going to experience all the things that should come in a healthy relationship. Now, please understand, I'm not saying it's going to be like a fairy tale or what movies and shows portray relationships to be, because that's a little much. But it is very much possible to experience joy and love in the marriage that you are called into. Absolutely. And you will be happy. You will be content. You will feel at peace. But also understand that you will have bumps in the road. None of us are perfect, and none of us can avoid things that come up, because we do have trials. We do have things that come up. The important thing is that you stand by your spouse's side and you face them together, because remember, even after you're married, the enemy is not going to stop. He's going to continue to try and cause now division between you and your spouse. And he can do it in all kinds of ways. He can use things from your past. He can just do it in really any way that he wants to. One of the biggest areas, and I've said this before, that he'll try to sow division and issues is usually in the area of intimacy or in the area of finances, which is why even in the world, in our society, we see a lot of marriages, secular marriages, fall apart due to the same things. It's usually sex and finances. So, and it's the same thing with these marriages that Yah brings together. If the enemy can get his foot in, if he can gain entry, excuse me, he'll do the same thing. He'll do the same thing for sure. So that's why it's important that, you pray daily over you, your spouse, your marriage, your family, and things like that. But getting back to what I was saying in the beginning, the words that I want to share with you today, and the encouragement and the hope that I want to give you today, is that, even if you experienced pain and brokenness in a past relationship or marriage, even if it was toxic and counterfeit, it doesn't mean that you can't have a healthy relationship in marriage. And when you do, obtain this marriage by Yah, it will help to heal you. If what broke you was a toxic, counterfeit relationship or marriage, then a marriage by Yah, a healthy one, will heal you. So please don't go by what the world says and what society says and what everybody's telling you with, if that happened to you, it's just going to happen again. Well, yeah, it'll happen again if you continue to pursue people and situations and circumstances that you're not meant to be in. But when you wait on Yah, when you allow Him to work on you, when you develop your relationship first and foremost with Him, which is the most important relationship, and allow Him to heal you and work on you and wait on Him to either present your spouse to you or you be presented to your spouse, depending whether you're male or female, then you'll be able to enter into a healthy relationship. It's not that you'll never again experience it, and you shouldn't be discouraged by it. You shouldn't say, I give up, it'll never happen for me. If Yah has called you to marriage, it will happen for you in His perfect timing. If you allow Him to work on you and through you and in you to heal you, rebuke those lies from the enemy, rebuke those thoughts that you can never obtain something happy and healthy. Yes, you can. And this applies also for children. If you've already had children and the past marriage or relationship is also what broke them, then your Yah-ordained marriage will also help heal them as well. So it really benefits the whole family. And that's what Yah wants. That's what the Father wants. Okay? So that is the word that I wanted to share with you today. I've been hearing a lot about this, and I just wanted to give a reminder for everybody. So again, quick word. Again, stay tuned after Sukkot. So sometime next week, Yah willing, I will be starting the Boundaries series. The first episode will kind of lay the foundation, and I will be talking about different types of abuse, toxicity, and things like that. So that is it. My phone is ringing. I am so sorry. I will end it here. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk with you in my next episode. Shalom.